Hey guys, I'm Kalila Reynolds and it's time for Money Mondays JA, brought to you in partnership with Proven Wealth. Well, it's finally here. You guys can finally stop asking me about the TransJamaican IPO. The prospectus is out and I have the deets. This one was a lot of reading, nearly 300 pages, but it makes for really interesting reading. Even though it's a lot, I'd still suggest you read it if you're seriously considering this investment. There's a lot in there about the highway's past and potential performance. And bear in mind, I'm not a licensed financial advisor, so please don't take anything I'm about to say as advice. Please consult your licensed financial advisor before making any investment decisions. Now, let's start with the essentials. The National Road Operating and Construction Company, NROC, is selling 8 billion shares in its wholly owned subsidiary, TransJamaican Highway, TJH. The share price is $1.41 Jamaican or 1 cent US, literally a penny stock. Do that math, that brings us to 80 million US dollars or 11 billion Jamaican dollars that they're seeking to raise. If it's oversubscribed, they may opt to add an extra 2 billion shares, which would bring the total raised to 100 million US or 14 billion Jamaican dollars and make it the biggest IPO ever in Jamaica by far. Can they raise this large amount? I absolutely think that it's doable. Now, in total, they're selling 64% of the company, which can go up to as much as 80% if upsized. So NROC will keep at least a 20% stake. The offer opens on Monday, February 17, and is scheduled to close on Monday, March 9. The smallest amount you can buy is 1,000 shares if you're buying in Jamaican dollars. That means you need less than 1,500 Jamaican dollars to start. But if you choose the US dollar option, then you have to buy at least 100,000 shares, which will cost you 1,000 US dollars. They intend to cross-list these shares on both the US and Jamaican dollar markets of the Jamaica Stock Exchange. Also, the JCSD fees and GCT have both been waived for this transaction. Now, they've also reserved a significant portion of the shares, but at the same price, so no discount for you reserved applicants. 89 million shares are reserved for employees of the company. 296 million shares are reserved for e-tag customers. You have until Friday, February 14 to become an e-tag customer if you're not one already and take advantage of the reserved pool. 830 million shares are set aside for public sector workers. The underwriters, NCB and JMMB, have 2 billion shares reserved for them, and another 2 billion are reserved for pension funds. Now, if you apply in the reserved pool, you need to apply early, as in now, before the opening date early, because reserved shares are being allocated on a first-come, first-served basis. You have a little leeway if you apply in the general pool. Those shares will be allocated on a bottom-up basis like WIGTON. This ensures that people applying for small amounts won't get left out, as those orders will be filled before the larger orders. So, what are they going to use all this money for? Now, for that, I have to give you a brief history lesson about the highway. What exactly are you buying? Highway 2000 was the Jamaican government's flagship Millennium Project. They started with the east-west route, which takes you from Kingston to Maypen and Kingston to Portmore, a total of just under 50 kilometers. The highway was built and financed by the French company Bouygues and Vinci Construction, with financing also by IFC and Proparco. They spent a lot of money to build these roads, and they earned back this money by collecting a toll. They had a 35-year concession agreement with the government to collect tolls starting 2001. And there are 4 tolling plazas. You have Maypen, Vineyard, Spanish Town, and Portmore. Now, last December, the government bought the highway from the owners, Bouygues, Vinci, IFC, and Proparco, with Bouygues being the major shareholder. They paid 72 million US dollars for it. So now the government, through NROC, owns the highway. But they don't intend to own it for very long. By listing it on the Jamaica Stock Exchange, they're selling it to you, the public, so that you can own a piece of Jamaica. Now, what they did is take out a loan to buy the highway, and they call this a bridge loan since they're kind of acting like a bridge between the old owners, Bouygues, and the new owners, you the public. So the majority of the funds raised from the IPO, remember that's 18 million US dollars and 100 million if it's oversubscribed, would be used to pay off that bridge loan. After they pay off the IPO expenses, there will still be some left over, and NROC, along with the Ministry of Finance, are to decide how to use the rest of that money. Now, as for the concession agreement, that's been renegotiated as of this past January. It was supposed to expire in 2036, but they now have the option to renew for another 35 years. And this gives the new owners, potentially you, more peace of mind that you're not buying something where the contract only has 16 years left on it. You're buying a long-term asset. There are also some other very important changes, and one has to do with competing roads. There was a clause in the agreement that if the government upgraded any competing roads and that affected the volumes of traffic on the toll road, then the government would have to compensate the owners of TransJamaica. And as you know, the government recently upgraded Mandela Highway, which has had an impact on the traffic on the Portmore toll. And we see that reflected in the financial statements. But as of January, they've eliminated that clause. Now, let's look at those financial statements. For any potential investment, you want to know if the company is profitable. We have financial statements in the prospectus covering the past 5 years. And as we see, revenues have grown significantly from 35 million US dollars in 2014 to 52 million US in 2018. But look at the bottom line, net profits. They only became profitable in 2017. Before that, the highway was losing money. But look at the progression. Each year, they lost quite a bit less than the previous year. And by 2018, they're at 6 million US dollars in profits. And a big part of those losses was the financing costs, repaying the loans that they took out to build the highway. Those have been coming down year after year as they paid off more debt and more of the debt. And at the same time, traffic on the toll roads has been increasing steadily. According to NROC, some 24 million vehicles used the various legs of the highway last year, 2019. That's up from 19 million in 2014. So traffic has grown an average of 5% each year. By the way, surprise, surprise, the Portmore leg is the highway's cash cow, bringing in more than half of the highway's total revenues. They expect traffic on all legs to continue growing by about 4% each year, especially as the economy improves and people travel more. And there are other opportunities for TJH as a company to expand as well, not just through higher traffic volumes. They see themselves as being well poised to take advantage of infrastructure projects in other CARICOM countries. And locally, the government has several other road projects coming up that TJH will be well poised to bid on. Of course, there's no guarantee they'll win any of those bids, but what is guaranteed is that they have first right of refusal for the next leg of the highway, which is Maypen to Williamsfield. And first right of refusal simply means that they get first dibs at it. Only if they say they don't want it will someone else be offered a chance. Now, there are risks to this investment, just like any other. There's no guarantee that the share price at $1.41 will go up. There's no guarantee that the company will do as well as envisioned in the prospectus. Now that Mandela Highway has been upgraded, it could be that TJH will continue to lose traffic to Mandela in 2020, and that will affect their revenues and their profits. If the economy doesn't do well in the coming years, that could also mean fewer cars on the roads and fewer people who can afford to pay a toll. These are all things to consider. So, of course, consult your licensed financial advisor. I'm not one, so nothing in this review is to be considered a recommendation. By the way, Proven Wealth is a selling agent for the TransJamaican Highway IPO. So check them out at weareproven.com. and on social media at We Are Proven. On Taking Stock this week, I've got the Finance Minister, Dr. Nigel Clarke, fielding your questions about TransJamaica, and the analysts delve deep into the IPO as well. It's an hour-long special edition that you don't want to miss. I'm Kalila Reynolds. Follow me on Instagram and Twitter at Kalila Ray, and subscribe to my YouTube channel, youtube.com/Kalila Ray. Thanks for watching. See you later.